Hello and welcome to tonight's stream. It is Sunday night and hopefully tonight going to spend about an hour and a half, maybe two, working on some new pixel art backgrounds, getting them chopped up and brought into Unity. So I've got them kind of as placeholders because they're not complete yet, but they're all the positions and size of things are correct, so I can get them in and start hooking up some interactions. So there's two of them to do. I've got a puzzle that I was setting up the other day, which has got a complex set of variables about it, and I know there's a bug in it, so I might have a look at that too. So that's my intention tonight. Might get round to doing a bit more touch-ups on these pixel backgrounds, but I'll be happy if I kind of get both these backgrounds into scenes in Unity and laid out properly. That'll be part of the plan. As always, if anyone joins during the live stream, just stick a message in the chat and hopefully I'll hear it. I haven't got my audio turned on, so let's get that turned up. I should be able to hear any chat messages come in and I'll do my best to answer them. So I am just going to crack on as usual and let's see how we go. I'm going to start off, I think. I've started drawing a couple of new backgrounds. These are not finished. I've got like the main colour blocks in. I've got the main kind of size, shape, layouts of these things. I put a video out the other day on YouTube, which was me blocking out this scene in SketchUp. So I tend to use, if you've not seen that video, then check that out on the YouTube channel. I tend to use SketchUp for blocking things out. I'll load it up and have a quick look at the difference between the two, just for those who haven't seen any of that. I'll apologise in advance as well. It's fireworks season, and if any fireworks go off outside, then our dogs go insane. So if you hear lots of dog barking, or my wife shouting at my dogs, then that'll be why. I'm going to load up this scene, so hopefully you can kind of see side by side here. If I just zoom in a little bit. This is the 3D scene, and that's once I've kind of drawn over it. So if I bring this up full screen, really good tip, and I've mentioned this before on a couple of live streams as well. SketchUp is completely free. If you go to app.sketchup.com, there's like an online version of SketchUp, which is really, really powerful. And I kind of use it for blocking out some of these scenes, especially when there's lots of perspective and things to try and get right. It can be a really useful thing just for kind of deciding what your scene's like. To be honest, you could just output a PNG of that and then build your whole game in Unity with just this kind of white box version and then do all of your pixel art at the end. But I like to mix up the activity that I do so I don't get bored of one thing, basically. I'm doing this part-time. I'm doing it evenings, weekends when I can, around a full-time job and everything else that life has going. So I don't like to be stuck with like loads and loads of backgrounds to do, or loads and loads of coding or Unity adventure creator things. So this way, sometimes if I feel like it, I'll make a 3D scene, and then the next evening I might draw over that and start blocking it out, and then the following week I might do a bit more detail on the pixel art. So SketchUp's really handy for that. And there'll be a second scene as well, which is from this camera angle. So it's really cool if you're setting up a location like this where obviously the player's going to want to go down this alley. They'll be able to see the dumpsters and this ladder and things. But then when they get down there, I'm just going to reframe from this angle. It's going to be like a tight alley with a load of foreground shadows and things. So it'll be kind of obvious what the puzzles are. You'll be able to see some skylights. You'll be able to see the ladder, but you can't reach it and all that kind of thing. And things like dumpsters, ladders. I didn't make these. It's a brilliant 3D warehouse on here. Again, completely free. You can literally just type in like dumpster. You might have spotted this on the time lapse where I was doing this, and you'll be able to find a decent dumpster if I spelled it right. There we go. So you can see there's the actual one that I got. Hit that download thing and it pulls it into your model, and you can just manipulate that around. So really great just for laying things out, giving you a nice perspective and things. So yeah, have a go with SketchUp. So I've kind of taken that and started to block out. I just exported a PNG at a really low resolution. In fact, it's probably there in the background still. Let's have a look. Let's turn all the layers off. There you go. And I just fade out the layer, so the opacity there. So that was the export, really crude lines, because that's all I need really to help me with the perspective. And then I just fade that out, and then I start drawing over the top of it, usually with the walls and things like that first. I kind of work from the back forwards. I didn't colour it all, I did it all as line work first, and then just slowly started adding the buildings. The breeze block pattern there is a separate layer that's faded out. Little intercom, the posters on the wall, the sign. I decided to get rid of that sign and go with a massive banana because it's called Funky Monkeys. Little monkey. So a lot of this stuff was just freehand on top of it. The dumpster down the alley there. The bin at the front. And these are all going to be part of puzzles and things. We've got some bollards over here. I've put like a layer just to darken it all down a bit. I'm trying to get the mood of it right. I mean, the lighting will be done in Unity. I haven't quite decided where the street lights are going to be. I might put like a security light. There'll be light coming from that window because this place is closed at night, but there's obviously somebody in because you can see light coming from the window. But yeah, I'm maybe going to put a little security light or something in the foreground. I've got like these lampposts like you get in a car park, and at the moment this big block, which I was kind of thinking was the player Clive's car, but it just looks a bit big at the moment. It's not quite right, that. In fact, let's just get into that now. So I've got these posts that are kind of like a lamppost close to you and a lamppost further away. But I'm still not totally convinced on the layout I've done. I like these. It's kind of very like the style of these games to have the like big black foreground stuff. So I'm kind of imagining his car is sat here, and that we're like kind of seeing the edges of his car, just suggesting the shape of a car here. But we obviously don't want to draw the whole car. We want it to just be some foreground detail. So something like that where when you start the scene, he's over here near it. And we might, if we end up doing a light up there, then we'll just catch the edge of that in a colour. Let's just have a little play with that at the moment and see what that looks like. So foreground highlights. What I'm trying to remember to do as well is like all the foreground items are in a separate folder here in Airsprite, so then I can just output that as a layer in front of everything in Unity. So you will have seen that on a couple of live streams, hopefully going for the same kind of effect. So this foreground highlight, couldn't see the word there, so just to rename it something. I'm just going to see what this looks like. Say you had a like a maybe you had like a green car. We'll just take a dark green and just pick out. I've done this on a few of them, but I just don't want it to I don't want it to be too bright. And you start thinking about if there was kind of a light over here, you'd actually see like the windscreen and everything. It'd be quite bright there. So I kind of don't want to get into the detail of it, but equally stylistically I'd like the dark black, so I'm not quite sure if this is going to work really. Yeah, not totally sure about this, because you'd then expect to see like the windscreen and stuff here as well. You'd have like bright across the windscreen, and it's starting to step away from the solid black style that I like on these things. Well, let's just put that little rim edge on it. We can always change it later. We can certainly like dial it down just by changing the opacity of that highlight level. It's just catching the edges of it like that. We'll see. Can't quite decide. Let's bring this in front of the post layer actually, because that post would definitely get a hit of light down the side of it as well. And that might help break these two silhouettes as well. That would be closer to us than the other one. Might even have a double. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. Don't hate it, which is always good. Certainly if we end up putting this as a light that's on, like this little cross beam and the little monkey thing, like all of these are going to need like just touches of light on the top of them. So we'll just suggest some of that. And then perhaps a little darker down here to the floor. And you can see it's using the opacity off that layer as well, so I'm getting yeah, it's not the end of the world. It looks all right, doesn't it? Obviously there's going to be a really bright bulb there if we're going to do that. There's going to be some real bright highlights we're going to need, but I kind of the idea of this place in the game, in the story, is that he's coming here at night when it's all closed up. And if you imagine like a soft play place in an industrial estate at night, they often don't have the car park lights on. So I kind of like the idea of this being really dark and dingy. I've just got to try and get that effect somehow in Unity. It might be that I end up like really darkening the scene like this. And then these are just kind of the moonlight highlights, and we make it really dark in the scene. We want this light here to be like the light coming from that window is going to be catching people's eye, and the light from this little intercom. But yeah, I think just getting the darkness right is going to be tricky, and I might end up doing that in Unity with the lights in Unity. But we will see. I think thinking of that, if we don't have the lights on, I think we need to, oops, wrong key. What have I just done there? I think we probably need to take some of this off if we are going to go with moonlight. Yeah, it's really hard to tell until we get the lights in, but yeah, you see it's really dark like that. Just pare that back a little bit. In fact, it could probably do with being darker, that one. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm happy with that for now. Could perhaps just take a darker green to that as well. I didn't expect to be doing a load of actual pixel art drawing, but I just wanted to kind of get this scene in. It comes in Act 2, this. Those of you who've looked at some other bits of the live streams that I've been doing, I did one that was kind of going through the different acts. This is the start of Act 2 when we leave the carpet shop. So this is not something I can directly link to the other scenes I've been working on, but it will it'll be a scene we can still set up all the walkable areas and all the doorways and things like that. So we'll crack on with that in a moment. Last thing I want to do is maybe highlight this. It's like, I was thinking it was kind of the back of like a flatbed truck or something that's sat in this corner. Again, it's just there to give some visual interest to this corner, and in a way to just for the player to know that like they're not meant to go that way. So by kind of blocking out a big shape there, it says, well, you kind of can't go down there. It should be obvious you can't go down there. So I think that we can probably just catch the edge of that with like a mustardy. Something like that. It's just catching the edges of this vehicle or whatever that might be. Okay. I hope that comes through all right on the live stream. Actually, it's quite dark on this monitor. I've got two different monitors and it's very difficult to tell. They're completely different, like colour gamuts and things. Of course, one of the problems when you're making a game that'll go on Steam or Itch or something like that, it's really hard to know what everyone's monitors are set to, and whether something you're trying to make really dark and moody ends up just being this palette of mush on somebody else's computer. But them's the breaks, unfortunately. There's no way of knowing. So let's just dial that down a bit as well. It's always really fiddly, this, because as soon as you've changed the brightness of everything else, they all look far too bright. So I think we'll export it without that dark layer on, and then we'll have a play in Unity with the lights to see what we need to do there. We're definitely going to need this illuminating though, so let's go back down to we can delete that old sign. Well, we've got that banana now. I think the banana's much funnier. Funky Monkey using a massive banana. Get some jokes in there about the banana. If anyone's a member of Dull Men's Club at all on Facebook, then everything is measured in reference to the size of a banana. So there's probably some jokes in there about that as well. What I need to do is make sure I've got a new layer above the building layer. Let's call it side light. And let's just pick out this as being illuminated. So, and again, if you've been watching any of this, I've got a couple of different ways of doing the lights in Unity, and some of that negates some of this pixel art work I need to do. But sometimes it's nice to kind of pick out some of those bits that you would get if you'd have been hand drawing all of these lights. So where the light might spill, that's going to have to be above the dumpster. I mean, you can't see a lot of it from this area anyway, but this is just going to be subtle. Just going to put a bit of a glow around the edge of there. So I'm going to dial the opacity of this down now. And it obviously wants to be behind the gate as well. Gate. Move that above there. So we've got that light beam. Take the opacity right down. Just gives us a bit of pixel art there for the glow. We'll accentuate that with the Unity light as well, I think. But it's going to be a tricky one, that alley, because when we come round to the other side, let's say in SketchUp I've got the other side of that, it will inevitably be difficult to light because I want it to be kind of quite dark and moody in there. So it's going to be a tricky one. So that'll do for now, though. I think we'll get all of this moved into Unity. So that's never going to be turned like on and off, so it can be part of the background layer. So I kind of want to collect these things up into the foreground, which is all of that. And then everything else is in the background. So I'm going to try something new. There's a sky there as well. And I've done like a nice little dither in the sky. Let's just all of this below there then. If we turn off the foreground, we export all of that as the background. There's not going to be anything there that's going to be movable, but these bollards, we maybe want him to walk behind them. So this bollard in particular needs to be on a separate layer. So we want the bollards on a separate layer as well. Or we could just have him, no, let's put, so we make our lives easier. We could just get rid of the bollards. We could just make the walkable area so he goes in front of them and never goes in this little behind section. That would be one way to solve it. Let's do that. Let's save ourselves some trouble. And let's make a walkable area where if you click on this poster, he would walk in here, go behind this foreground layer, but never pass in front of them. And that'll make life a little bit easier. So let's do that, because everyone wants an easier life. It's strange as well, just notice when you toggle that dark layer on, like these like highlights do look really cool. Just the difference in the darkness, it's like you've turned a light on. Yeah, okay. So all of this wants exporting as the background. So file. This is nowhere near finished. I've not put my shading on it. I've not put detail on things, highlights. I haven't done these posters, so it's not a piece of finished work, but everything's in roughly the right place, so I can block out hotspots and things like that. And then I can come back to this a night where I fancy doing a lot of detail. Which gives me some options. So we're exporting all of this. We're going into my sprites, booms, funky monkeys. There was a placeholder for the backdrop there, so we can funky monkeys, basic backdrop. Save. Already exists. Yeah, I think I'd set up some placeholder rooms already for this, so let's make sure that's correct. Export that, and then hide everything. Show just the foreground, and that's the foreground group. And then let's export that file. Export as. We're in the same folder, but we just want to call it Funky Monkeys Foreground. Save. Export. Right, so there, those two bits are done. Let's jump over to Unity. And let's have a look at, I don't know if I actually had a scene. Let's have a look at my scenes. No, I hadn't actually set up a Funky Monkeys scene. So we're going to get my template. What did I change in the scene? Yeah, I had just changed a variable on there. So this is my template scene, by the way. You might have seen this before. I basically create a scene with the basics of the things that I need in. All the stuff from Adventure Creator. It's got a little walkable area. It's got some light set up already. And I just use that as the scene template. So then I immediately save that. This is going to be scene funky monkeys. Save. And then we want to import some sprites. So the backdrop, go to my sprites where we've just outputted this into rooms, into funky monkeys. I've got the basic backdrop and the foreground. I'm going to select them both. Go to my import preset, which is for a single piece of art, and then apply that. And that just sets the settings for the filtering, things like that. So we should now, into the basic backdrop, drop that there. Just reset its scaling. Get rid of the backdrop now. And the foreground, exactly the same. Drop it onto there. Reset its scaling. So there you go. We've got that lined up. See, that looks okay. So we need to set up our walkable areas and things. You can see this, the player start points there. We're going to sort all that out, but let's just give that a save. Let me go to navigation, nav mesh, walkable, and the polygon collider. We want to edit that. If I'm in the right view. So we're going to make our life easier, as we said, and not let you walk near that bollard. We're going to be able to walk over there to the front door, but we're going to avoid all of that. We'll be able to walk up to the bin. Actually, perhaps go a bit closer to the bin like that. Alongside the building. And then when you go into the alley, that is as far as you'll go before it changes scene. When you go in there, there'll be a separate scene in there. So this bit where you walk up to the poster probably only needs a little section like that. Might actually, he's gonna get lost behind this lamppost. So we maybe want him to be peeking out a little bit. And then if you imagine this is the edge of the car, you want his feet to be able to go to where the bottom of the car is. And you want him to be able to walk along here. But this is going to just take a little bit of trial and error, I think, to get that particular perspective right. Probably only needs to stand there to be able to read that poster. But we might want him to be able to come closer to the bottom of the screen. And then walking diagonally across there, nice and quick. So decent walkable area there. I think that's probably about right. We're not going to let him go over here because that saves us doing that bollard bit. And there's nothing much to see there anyway. You've got this big curb, which, I mean, he's not going to step up it. He's going to glide over it, but I'm sure it'll look fine. If it doesn't, then I might just redraw this curb to be much thinner. Much thinner? Not as high. Right, that's the walkable done. We need to make sure that the player start is within that, otherwise he won't be able to move. And actually when he starts this scene, we want it as if he's just got out of the car. And using the rotate tool, we want him facing over there, so we're seeing the back of his head when he gets out of the car. Okay, that's all good, I think. We're going to need another player start there for when you come back from the other side of the alley, so we might as well create one now. Scene, player start. from Ali. I'll just position that one. Oops. Oops, don't want to do that. Make a right mess of that. So he's going to be facing down. We're going to have him there. And we're going to need to activate it from a previous scene. We haven't made the other scene yet, so it's not going to be possible to do that yet. What we also need to do as well, now we've got this scene _ funky monkeys, we need to add this to the build settings. So I need to go project set. Oh, is it project settings? Build profiles. Yeah, they've changed all this. So we need to add the open scene. So funky monkeys is now added to the whole project, so we can reference it from other scenes. So that's the basics, I think. Now we need to sort the scaling, because it's going to be really weird here. We want him obviously to be the size of a door in there. This is our little tool for doing that. So at the bottom we set a percentage of his height at the bottom of that and a percentage at the top, and you just kind of imagine a line across here. So he's going to be the same scale here as he is here. So we can actually tweak that in play mode, so we'll do that. Set up as curve, but we just do it as linear, so it's a start scale and an end scale. And you can see like the little thing here make sure you get smaller up the top. And we're just going to have to play around with that. So let's click play and have a look. See how big he is when he arrives. Oh, we haven't set the layers of the foreground and things yet either. So he looks a bit big there. Yeah, so he needs to be a little bit smaller here, like he's just got out of the car. We do want him to be a bit lower down as well, I think. So his walkable area is going to have to be further. Oh, he looks kind of the right scale there. We just need to sort the foreground items out. Yeah, so you look at the height of the door, really. I always tend to try and go by real world things, like a guy in his 50s, probably just a bit shorter than the door. Can maybe make him a touch bigger, say 60. Maybe a bit big. 56. Yeah, we see that bin's maybe a bit big. This is the tricky thing as well, when you've got like one scaling factor. All of that looks good, but that bin now is kind of chest height. Don't see many chest height bins, so I'll probably need to make that bin a little bit smaller, but that looks all right. And yeah, we're going to try and do some shading here. So he's in the dark here, and then he goes into the light as he goes over there. We need to sort out all the lighting. So we can just remember those settings. Let's have a look. Make him just a touch bigger. All right, that'll do. So 58 and 105. We can just copy that component and then paste the values. So that's that sorted out. So we're happy with the scale there. Just slide that off the screen so we can get in the way. We've got our entry and exit points. That bin probably needs to be a bit smaller in the artwork. I can just fix that now, I guess. So hide darkness layer. There's the bin. So you can just scale it in a sprite. Could just scale it down, but it's going to start to crush this bit of the artwork. So I think what we'll do is we'll just chop the bottom off, paste it back on, move it up a bit, and then move the whole thing down. So just a bit smaller, hide the foreground, and then export it again. File, export as, backdrop, save, overwrite. Okay, there you go. Bin just shrank there. It'd probably do with being even smaller than that, but I think that's fine for now. Otherwise, it might not read as a bin. Yeah, that's good. It's like at his elbow. That's much better. Yeah, sorted. Okay, that's all good. So we want to stick a couple of hotspots in. One of which is going to be like the car, because to leave this scene, well, actually, thinking of the story arc, you probably don't leave this scene via the car, so you're going to end up in the alley, you're going to end up on the roof, you're going to end up inside the building, and actually the narrative will mean that you won't go back in the car, so that'll be all right. Right. So we want some hotspots dropping in here. Certainly the one to go into the alley. Let's do that. So hotspot. Let's call it two. No, I'll call it alleyway. I think it does the 2 bit. Let's call it side alley. So pop it in the middle there. Edit the box collider. You'll have seen me on other live streams getting these pixel perfect, but I think that's absolutely fine. That occupies the space that's the side alley. I might put one on the light as well. So that we can have a bit of dialogue from here. So we can kind of say, oh, it looks like someone might be at home. And actually we need to create a walk to marker for that, because when, oops, do that all the time. I should have called that window really. Light was a silly name for it. So we can stand here and look at it, and so that's going to be important there. In fact, we'll use the same walk to marker as we use for that. So the light has got that walk to marker. Let's put use interaction. Actually, I'm going to call it window. I won't know what it means when I come back to this. So create use interaction. Player should walk to the marker, and we've already set the marker as that one. Should face after moving to there. And then just a bit of dialogue. Well, it looks like someone is in there. There's a light on upstairs. Upstairs. Okay, so that's a nice, just a little hint really when they look at that. So the actual side alley one, the walk to marker, we're going to use the same one. So it's called light now, of course. It made that before. Window. Call it alley window because it's going to be used for both here. So the side alley window, use that as the marker. And the use interaction. Should walk to the marker. Face after moving. And this is actually going to like do a scene switch. So scene switch. Scene name. We haven't got the name for it yet, which is going to be the side alley. Let's just call it scene side alley. It'll throw an error if you try and use that, but at least it's there in place. And we'll save that. We'll open our template and then we'll save that as scenes. Oops, my scenes. Scene side alley. Let's just create this scene for now. Save it. Add it to the build profile. So you've got scene side alley so it can be referenced. And then open Funky Monkeys again. And then this should that should be fine now because it's referenced and it's in the build settings. Let's just test this out. Let's go back to that side alley scene and let's just add a hotspot in here to go back, and then we can just check all that. It's going to be at the side of the screen roughly here somewhere, so let's just put a whacking great hotspot there and let's call it car park. Let's take you back to the car park. The walk to marker, we need to create one. Oops. Rotate it that way. And then I use interaction. Walk to the marker and face it. And then do a scene switch back. So scene switch by name, scene underscore funky monkeys. And I think that's how I've spelt it. This is the thing, it's got to be spelt right when you use the name. Funky monkeys, yeah. So that should let us transition between the two. The other thing we need to do here is that foreground needs to be in front. So on the sprite renderer, we want to put this at layer 10, so it's in front of everything. And that should include the player as well. Yeah, so you can see it's in front of the player now. I mean, it feels like it needs to be lower. I can come even lower down. So we've got the side alley hotspot, we've got the window, so look at that. It's clipping off the edge of the screen. It should be set so it doesn't. So something's going wrong there with that. It's just, yep, so you can go through the side alley, go back to the car park, and it's arriving from there because we haven't changed the player start. So that player start from alley scene underscore side alley. That'll mean it'll use that player start when it comes back. So let's just check we've got that in place. There we go. All right, so I want it to be a bit lower here, ideally. There's not a lot I can do really, there's not a lot of space. So, what are my options? Actually, let's see if a walkable can go outside the render area. It might be able to actually, so if I go nav mesh, walkable, edit it, and then just pull a couple of these points lower than the screen. And then put the player start even lower. Let's have a look, see if that actually pushes him off screen. Yeah, that's better. So his legs are actually off the screen there. Might be quite cool if the windscreen was semi-transparent. You can kind of see him through it. Involve drawing part of the car. Maybe I'll do that. I might for now, just so I remember to do it, I might put it as a semi-transparent bit. And then we could maybe pick up the light on the steering wheel and the dash or something. I mean, I'll add a sound effect basically of a car door closing before the scene starts, so you'll get the sense that you arrive there. So sometimes the sound effects can do a hell of a lot of work for you. If you haven't already played it, I know I've said this on every live stream recently, the Drifter, Power Hoof Studios, fantastic game, but so much work is done by the sound effects in that, and the narration. Which it's won awards for as well. But yeah, it's really, really cleverly done. So sometimes the screen just goes black and you'll just hear a soundscape of the things that are happening with a voiceover. And it's really good. It's, you kind of like imagine it like you're reading a book. And then when the scene fades in, like you can kind of see the things that have just happened. So really clever, the guys who wrote that. Like really efficient use of their time to make it. Right, I'm just gonna, as I said, hint at this so I don't forget, because it's a good idea, I think, that this, we're just gonna chop a bit of that out. So, so it's part of that. What we want to do is kind of erase a bit of it. I don't know how to do this actually in Sprite, but yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I can make a selection of where that might be. So say that was like the windscreen of a pixel art car. So if I chop that out of the foreground with cut, so it's completely see-through, and then make a new layer and call that windscreen, and paste it in there, and then change the opacity of that so it's semi-see-through. But then what I want to do is just that window bit really. So I'd end up having to draw all the internals of the car there. So let's just put a layer there to remind me. Car internals. And then in there, that's just in brown for now, just block in. It's going to go behind that. So get the column of the car there. So this is all, I'm just doing it as a brown blob at the moment. That is all going to be car internals. I can feel myself starting to draw it. Let's just draw it. Typically, I'll do that later and then just start doing it. Steering wheel. Like the dashboard to there. I guess this will all be a bit darker, a bit lighter maybe. So it's difficult when you're kind of painting the absence of light. The light would be hitting the edge of there. I'd have the chairs in there. They're going to be dark. Yeah, I've kind of lost the steering wheel there, haven't I? Let's back that up a bit. What have I done? This is my problem, you see. Decided to do it, and now I'm regretting it. So that would catch the light from the same direction everything else is. That's the edge of the door. I think in a way the steering wheel and stuff should probably be black. I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, so it looks a little bit better. But then it's the chairs, isn't it? That's the tricky bit. I just don't know how these are going to sit, really. So we don't get the shape of them right. I'm going to swap the layer order here in a second, don't worry about that. That other chair, whoops, just filled the whole thing. This other chair would be in darkness at this side. Darkness at that side. Dark down here. Dark at the bottom. Lighter across there. The light would be coming in kind of a bit of an angle like that. No idea if you can even see that on the stream, it's so subtle. Which would leave that bit in darkness. Not that dark though. Alright, I'm sampling from the wrong thing here. Yeah, I'm picking a colour that's behind something else. Let's just turn that off and that off. So that is the light coming in over there. The light would be hitting that one on the edge. Let me catch a bit of that seat there. This should be the same darkness as that, really. Those new to the stream, I have, a few months ago when I started this game, I'd never used Air Sprite. It's great. Really, really like using it. It's taken me a while to get used to doing pixel art again because it's been many years since I've done it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's cool. Right, I mean, that looks like an absolute mess there, but if we hide the chairs behind the car internals... Ah, nope. Car internals got the dashboard on it as well. So let's just clean up this steering wheel because it just doesn't read as a steering wheel at the moment. Got a shortcut which is Control key just to delete. So what I need to do is separate the dash from that background bit. So what we'll do is let's do a colour selection. So sprite, select colour range, get all the blacks, cut them out. Above the chairs, call this dash. Paste the dash in. Chairs go behind it. Car internals behind all of that. Yeah, so we should be good now. Just fill in that little area there, brown. Let's make sure we don't reveal any of that So it looks weird, but hopefully turn all these back on. And then we should, yeah, that looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. That wasn't bad, was it? Yeah, that looks quite nice. Got the shade. This is all semi-transparent, so when he walks past, you should see his body going past that bit of glass. And it just reads much nicer as a car now, so yeah, chuffed with that actually. Yeah. So we need to export that again. So all of that needs to be done as the foreground. Turn everything off, just the foreground on. File, export as. Make sure we're going over the foreground and not the background. Save, replace, export. Done. Back in Unity. There it is. So click play, and hopefully, just for that, all of that work. Yeah, you can see him walking past. Maybe if I run that full screen for the benefit of the stream. It's maximized, play. So yeah, you can see the internals of that. I think the scaling's a bit off maybe, but yeah, so you can see his hands through it, and it definitely reads as a car now as well. So it's like he's just got out of the car. The scale's all kinds of wrong, but it's fine. That little, just that movement past the car. If we might even start him from there. Yeah, if we start him from there, then you definitely get the idea that it's a car. So we'll change his start point slightly. Player start, shift it over there a bit, move that walkable area. Just want to see a bit of that transparency when you first load into that, especially if you've heard the car door slam yet. Lovely. Great. I'm really chuffed with that. I keep looking at it, the shadow falling from there. We just need to get the lights right, really. That's going to be the tricky thing with this scene. So let's do a bit of lighting then. I'm just going to stop that from running maximized because then I can't tweak things whilst we're in play mode. So I'll play focused. So let's have a look at the lights. I've currently got these set up so that you've got this light 2D, which is giving that yellow hue to the whole thing. With this being a nighttime scene, I think we can do something like a bit more kind of moonlit, a bit darker blue, and it'll obviously light the character as well, which is really handy. So this is what I was on about earlier when I was saying like I'll be doing the lighting of the scene in Unity. The problem with that is like all that hard work we're just putting down here. If it's that dark, you can't even see the transparency. What we could do, we could not include this in the lighting. So I'm not quite sure how to do that, but let's try adding the foreground to a sorting layer. So I think if we add sorting map, is that right? No, it's not a sorting map, is it? Sorting group. So I think, I'm not totally sure how this works. I am doing quite a bit of clicking there that is just guesswork. So the scene light, I think. Target a sorting layer. So I must have created a sorting layer called Office Desks at some point. But I don't know what that is. Yeah, this is definitely, I'm in the right place. What I need to do is put this foreground in a different sorting layer. Let's just see if it does it from there. I don't think it does. So let's just call it foreground items. I don't think it uses this. Or is it in a sorting layer? Ah, right, it is in sorting layers up there. So let's create a sorting layer called foreground. I was trying to sort a problem with the office desk in a different room, which I sorted, using the word sorted too much. I sorted the problem with the office desk using a sorting group, but that is not what we're dealing with here. This is a lighting group, a scene light, so it's a Unity Light 2D. And if we had nothing, so we want everything, but we uncheck the foreground, so it shouldn't be affecting the foreground. Is that right? No, it's definitely affecting the foreground as well, as we can see into the car there. So how do we change that? Ah, because we haven't put it on the foreground layer. But it isn't a layer. How would you put something on a sorting layer? Sorting layer. Foreground. Ah, there we go. So it's now not lit by this light. Okay. So, oh, we're learning as we go. So is this still behind? I know it's super bright at the moment, but it might be able to effectively use different lights. Yeah, so it's still sorting in the correct order. So we're going to be able to have a light to light the scene, which is what we've got here, this scene light. And we're going to have that like a moody, night-timey kind of thing. Potentially in that kind of like purpley. I did the sky purple as some kind of visual colour interest. Don't want it to be too dark, this, but we are going to pick some bits out with light. So that's that light, the scene light. I'm going to create one which is called foreground light. And we're just going to target the foreground. So if we do nothing and then foreground and then just pick out the foreground layer only. Yeah, so we can just light up the foreground layer slightly. Again, we can something in the blue hue. Yeah, so they'll be lit by two totally different things. And because Clive's on the scene one, he's not getting affected by the one that's lighting up the car. But yeah, that's starting to look interesting. So we want to pick out this light back here as well, I think. Once I finish this pixel art as well, I'll be putting highlights on the top of that, shadows under the bin. It'll ground all of that a bit more from like a moonlight type view. I suppose the only other thing I could do would be to maybe suggest the moon or something, but yeah, not totally sure on that. We'll come back to it. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That looks all right. So let's get a light going for that side light. So these, by the way, this has got a, its own shape, so you can kind of peel the shape of the light. I'm giving like a vignette to the whole thing here by using a fall off and intensity that just looks nice. But you'll see with this next one, we'll just create one from scratch actually. So if we go new light, sprite light 2D, so it ends up starting. Oh no, hang on, these are different ones. Let's just copy that one. It's just a light 2D, isn't it? So we'll copy the scene light, which will make it double bright. Let's call it window light, just so we can see it. We're going to make it super yellow. I'm going to take the boundary of it. I mean, this is going to be really subtle. It's just going to provide a bit of a glow in the alley. And we're going to kind of fake that light. We might need to have this gate not lit by it, which will obviously mean even more kind of setup. But let's just see what we can do with a tighter fall off. I might be able to get away with kind of creating a shadow on the bin. It's kind of hitting the bin. I'm kind of matching a bit of that pixel light that I drew, if you remember. I just drew, so we got some nice jaggy pixels on it, but we're using this just to accentuate that light. So we'll take the intensity right down. We need a bit of fall off on there, but it's maybe going to be a bit too bright, that. So you can affect that either just by making it a darker colour. It just captures the bricks. Again, once I've put more detail in these bricks and things, it's very basic, the pixel art at the moment. It's really hard to tell until you see it. There's just a soft glow from there, so that might look all right. Let's just go. Oh, there you can see. Yeah, so we've got like a little glow. It's just catching the top of the bin to get people's attention. Once it's got more shading in there, that'll probably look all right. It's just whether we have another light here or not. I don't think we need it, but we're probably gonna maybe need to vignette it all a little bit more. So on this scene light, what we'll do is we're gonna pull that in a bit, just to make the edges of this scene darker. It's a bit tricky, this, because you don't want it to muddy the artwork too much, but you do want to get this, like you can see this little shade coming in here. So it's just making it feel a little bit more mysterious and dark, but it's maybe just a bit harsh. So let's look at the fall off on that. You see, like that's like solid. It's just getting the fall off right with that. That looks all right, I think. Gives it kind of a night-timey feel. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Let's have a look at it maximized on the screen, see if that helps for the stream. Yeah, so it's just kind of fading out to black at the edges up in that top corner. Just giving it a little bit of a darker feel. It definitely feels like nighttime. See the window, see the side alley. Yeah, I mean that curb is big. You can kind of float on the curb, but I'll maybe just make that a little bit thinner. Let's just do that now as well. Sometimes I like to tidy up these little things when I can see them because I'll forget, and then you launch a game and then go, oh, could have just changed that. It would have been dead easy. So let's take the darkness off there. It's the floor layer. And we're just going to take a load of thickness out of that curb. I think the easiest way to do that is just make a thick line and just, yeah, skim it right down so it's just a few pixels high, and then he's very unlikely to stand on it. And same in that direction. So that looks a bit thinner. It's very jaggy, but I don't particularly mind that look. So we just need to push that back out as the backdrop. So file, export as. Make sure we're going over the backdrop. Save, yes, export. And then we've just got a much smaller curve in there now. Worth it, I think. Yeah, it's just easier to let it go when he walks over it. Might even end up putting in a drain, a couple of double yellow lines or something like that. Just, I suppose in the UK you get double yellow lines, but perhaps not in the US. It'd be something else to stop you parking at the front of a building. Let's do that. Just bang in a couple of yellow lines, separate layer. So double yellows, yeah, in the UK, basically you can't park there. Maybe need to be 2 pixels thick, just so it doesn't look so jaggy. It's super jaggy, isn't it? Let's just put a single yellow. Single yellow can sometimes mean you can't park there as well, but let's just do that, I think. Otherwise we're going to get a lot of visual kind of noise there. And they're not hugely important to it. Dial back the opacity a bit, not so in your face. And let's just throw a drain cover in there as well, I think. So, breaking the lines. Probably won't be darker than that actually. So let's just block that roughly in. lines there, never mind. I mean, these are going to look very uniform, these drain slits. And you get like a perfect... Yeah, I think they're going to have to be doubled like that. Going to be a bit messy. We're dealing with so few pixels at this point that sometimes getting that to read right without it being just a big blob. Now that reads like a drain, doesn't it? That's good. So let's just pull that back a bit as well. Sometimes I'm just trying to make it less in your face. Just gives a bit more visual detail in the car park. This is my problem, like these aren't finished bits of artwork, and as soon as I start fiddling with them, we've got like an hour and a bit into this, and I'm still only on the first room. There is another room I wanted to kind of start sorting out, but I could just see that all of this at the moment is a bit like a solid lump. I want to start playing with some of these tools up here, like this jumble tool. You can kind of jumble up the pixels to create texture and stuff. That's kind of cool. But I guess you could put down loads of different colours and then jumble them just to kind of create a bit of texture on something. So it breaks up that big solid area. I'm just intrigued as to how this jumble thing works. Jumble. Oh, I did use it actually right at the start of this when I started drawing the carpets that were in the shop. I found this jumble tool was good for doing that with texture on the carpets. I mean, obviously that looks absolutely terrible, but we can then just try some of the blend modes. Not that one. Just to add a little bit of soft light, like dial that back a bit. It just gives a bit of texture to that, so it's not such a big expanse of nothing. Just randomly hammering, clicking down here, then jumble. And then if we duplicate that, so we've got another copy of it. Jumble that one, set it to difference. No, I set it to something else just to pick out some highlights in it as well. The other reason for me doing this is I'm going to have to do a room that's entirely covered in carpet, and I need to kind of come up with a nice way of doing like highlights and lowlights in texture so that it looks like a shag pile carpet, and that's going to be kind of tricky. Well, I've got a bit of texture there. That's fine for now. That will remind me to do that, and then we need to do the paths and everything else. But that's nicely set up. I think that's got kind of everything we need in it for any interactions we need to do. But I've obviously got a bit more work to do on the artwork. Just jumbling that down into this gap here and the dark stuff as well. Just jumble that down there. Okay, export that. Export as backdrop. Export. made me panic then. Should be fine. Yeah, so we've got our yellow line on there now. Just ties in nicely with that yellow as well. Breaks the scene up a bit. Okay. Looking alright, that one. So let's save that. 10 to 10. That's been almost 2 hours. What I'll do then, rather than going on to the next scene, when did I start? Oh no, I started at 8:30, so an hour and a half. Let's just block out some more hotspots in this one rather than going on the next scene. Teaser for the next scene, teaser for the next live stream. I will probably do a bit more time lapse on this one. I think I recorded a time lapse of me starting to draw over that, but thinking about it, it's not that exciting when I'm just drawing over the 3D one. I'll maybe do a time lapse to finish that one off. But the other key room is this one called Mystery Room, and I've started blocking, again, colour block of the main thing, main shapes. There's like an entry door there, there's a shrine, and there's some kind of mysterious jacket, there's like a big velvet curtain in the middle. It's like a 2-stage room. There's all these rolls of carpet, and then there's this kind of mysterious kind of cult-like table in there as well. So that room, again, solid colours. I'll need to block all that and bring that into Unity. But then it needs all the detail added and things like that. So that's a bit of a teaser for the next live stream or the next bit of work that I need to do. So let's just maybe spend the last half an hour sticking in some other hotspots and areas on here. I'll just break for a quick minute and I'll be back in a second. Okay. So let's add some other hotspots to this. Let's start fleshing out where I'm going to be doing interactions. So this one is going to be the intercom. Again, we could be pixel perfect with this one, but it shouldn't really matter when it's that scale. Actually, I should probably cover the whole thing, including the shadow at the side. So that's the intercom. I think we're going to share a walk to marker for these doors, because the doors are going to be, you'll be able to look at them as well. So let's set this up and then just copy this a few times. So that's the intercom. The walk to marker, I'm going to call that front door area, because we're going to share this marker with a few different interactions here. So intercom, actually no, move that a bit closer. Sometimes I'm just thinking silently as I'm doing this. So duplicate the intercom, call that front, let's call it sliding doors. If you don't like that big yellow box, you can turn that off, like that draw yellow cube, and it just leaves the markers around the outside. So those two both can be controlled by that marker 2D. Use walk to the marker and face. So it's going to be a dialogue and player. The front doors are locked. It's closed. So, and there might be some funnier dialogue and things to come there, but for now I'm just getting these in so that I can test it all. So, dialogue player. It's an intercom system. Doesn't look like anyone is in. And we might link that to a variable about whether they've looked at the light at the side, so that you can kind of choose to press it or not. And we just want to make sure we walk to marker and face after moving. So we'll put the bin in as well. So let's just duplicate the intercom. I'll call it bin. I want a different marker for the walk to marker. I don't want that one, so if we set it to none, then hit the plus. Okay, it's a bin one. And we'll use that bin for the bin and the poster. I mean, you can set up like loads of different ones. You could set up the bin. It's no biggie really, they're quick to make. And then you could have a posters one, which is for both of them, so at least he walks to look at them. We don't have a diagonal look, but at least if he goes in the middle, then he can respond to both of them. So the bin hotspot. We want to make a new thing there for we using the bin. Log. It's recently been emptied. There's a variety of chewing gum and sticky kids sweets attached to the mouth of it. We are, after all, outside a soft play area. And then with the posters, we want two separate ones, I think. So let's just create a fresh one. I'm going to call it poster B. Oh no, because yeah. Give it a name. So this is so I can tell what's what. So we'll have A, B, C. So that one will be B. I'll just set a couple of things so it does nothing. It's got to use interaction. Oh, actually, I might have messed that up. Intercom and bin. Oh no, it's only when you create the interaction. So walk to marker, face after moving, and the particular marker we're going to is the posters marker. Yeah, so we can use that poster B. Duplicate it, call it poster C. Shift it across, just looking for efficiencies here, and then it's got all the same settings apart from we're going to create an action for it. So apparently I can get two all-day passes for the price of one. So there'll be a variety of bits of dialogue and things that I'm going to add into these, but I'm just putting something in there for now so that they're set up so that when I come to test this scene, I know that they're already ready. Book a party for 10 kids. And yeah, I'm refining some of the jokes and things that will be attached to these, and some of them might actually give a clue to what's going on inside there as well. So the other poster is this one right over here. I'm just going to scale that so that it's just the other side of the lamppost. That'll do. Call that one post A because it annoys me they're in the wrong order. Put that there. We're going to use that walk to marker. Sorry, we're going to create a new walk to marker there. So poster A. We don't want the same interaction we had before. I'm going to create a new one, and we don't want the same walker 2D. We want a new one. So poster A. Shift that to there. And we've saved ourselves a load of work not having these bollards cut out. That's really handy. I might even move that one a little bit over there and we come to draw it, do all the final artwork. So he's going to walk to there. Same thing as everything else. We just need a new one. Kids under 10 eat for free. Bargain. Something like that. We'll leave that there for now. Just placeholder stuff. We'll maybe put a little hotspot over the car as well. Let's do that so you can have a running joke about his mundane car, because everything in Clive's life is pretty safe and sensible, his car included. So let's just remove the box collider, add a polygon collider, make sure we set it to is trigger, edit that polygon. What we don't want to do is get in the way. Actually, no one's going to click to walk there, so we're all right. Let's just fashion that roughly across the car. Actually pull it into the lamppost there, I think. So you can just click on the front bit of the car there. So what's a boring car? I should leave some things in the comments after this and I'll change the name. What's the most boring car we can think of? In the UK, yeah, like an old car. My dad used to have a Vauxhall Cavalier, so I'm going to call this my car as the object, or Clive's car. Parked car. Think about the tense and things, as in whether the narrator's calling him Clive or my would suggest. So let's just leave it like that for now. So it's parked car. The walk to marker can be and fresh one actually, so that we can position it. Oh, I've moved the wrong thing. Parked car. Let's have him come right the way down to there. Parked car. Don't want him to run. Walk to marker, turn to face. So it's dialogue line. Let's call it my trusty green Vauxhall Cavalier. The pinnacle of motoring from the 1980s and still going strong. We'll have some other car related banter in there. We're going to need to have one on the sign, definitely. So let's create a fresh one. Call it sign. Again, I think we'll do this as a polygon collider. Edit this nicely. So actually, before you do that, you should always move its center roughly to it, because otherwise you end up getting confused about what's where. And then edit. Doesn't have to be exact, but if you've watched any of my live streams, it usually is. So that'll do for the sign. So we probably want to walk to markets a little bit further back than that one. That looks a bit too close, so let's create a walk to marker. Let's drag that down to here, so he stood back looking at it. I always set this to does nothing. I haven't actually set it up so that the character can run, but I should leave them as make player run. It's quite annoying in point and click games when you've got a long distance to walk and sometimes you just want to get through the door, so double clicking would speed up the player basically. I haven't done any run animations. I don't intend on doing a run animation really, but you can still make the character walk faster, so I should probably leave them. I always set them habit, but right, walk to marker face after moving. Now that's something about the see where they spent their marketing budget. That's one huge banana. Let's just put another dialogue in there because there's something specific I'm going to put in there about one of the puzzles. But for now, Funky Monkeys is the premier soft play establishment in the region. Were also a great customer when they fitted the entire place out in carpet. In carpet when they opened. When they first opened 5 years ago. That was before my time, though. Because Clive's only been working for a couple of years, so this is previous boss did the deal for Funky Monkeys. If you've not heard, this point-and-click adventure game is about the life of a carpet salesman, which takes a turn for the interesting one day, and this is Act 2 of that. So we've got loads of them set up. Did I get that? I didn't do the sign use. Yes, I did. Walk to marker face after looking. I think that's probably. Don't think we need to say anything about the bollard. I might just highlight that. So let's put a hotspot in. I think again, let's put it in as a polygon trigger. Edit, just so it's very specifically around this. If I get time as well, I might have that slightly swinging. It's monkey sign. So I'm going to set up a walk marker for the monkey sign. Drag it down here so he faces it, so he like walks away to look at it. Something like that, I think. Monkey sign. To market base. Monkey monkeys. Splashing the cash with custom monkey lamppost adornments. Must be doing well. Typo. What I'll be doing is, with all of this, I'm probably not going to voice the whole game. There's probably going to be a narrator, probably AI voiced as well. I've been doing some stuff with work, my full-time job, where I performed some poetry, and that was spoken into this mic in my accent, in with my pacing and things like that, and then put through an AI voice changer to change the character of the voice. So I might well voice all the narrator stuff so I can get the pacing and the joke delivery right, and then just change it so it's not my voice, basically. So I might be doing that. I'll output all of these tiny bits of dialogue that you can see here. It'll all come out into a text file, so then I can record all of that and then import in all the MP4s, so MP4s, MP3s. So yeah, that'll be fun. Have a night doing that. So I think that's probably everything. Let's just have a click around the scene, working left to right. Check I haven't missed anything. So we've got a poster. Kids under 10 eat for free. Bargain. So we could do with facing left there, I think. They're looking better at it. Park car. Trusty green Vauxhall Cavalier. Pinnacle. Yeah, it's cropping off the screen. I need to sort that out. Intercom. Doesn't look like anyone's in. Sign. You can see where they spent their marketing budget. That's one huge banana. With a premise software established in the region. Quite a lot of text there. Maybe split that into a couple of lines. Yeah. Again, don't like 3 lines of text. I think 2 lines text. Some spelling mistakes there. Yeah, I think that was all of them. Side window. Yeah, so I spelt Vauxhall wrong. I spelt one of the posters wrong. I want that one to face left. And I need to split up some of the text. So let's deal with them quickly. So poster A, a walkable area. We want to spin that, so oops. Spin that so it's definitely looking sideways. The parked car. Spelt Vauxhall wrong. Vauxhall. Okay. I spelt November wrong on one of these. Sometimes when you click, it highlights it all in blue, and you tap a key, the whole bit of text disappears, and it's happened to me far too many times. If I pressed N and hadn't realised, that would have just wiped the text. You can't undo it, which is very annoying. And we had too much text, didn't we, in some of these? So we've got a carriage return there. So much changes to they fitted the entire place out in carpet in the first one 5 years ago. Carriage return, that was before my time though. And I think this poster as well had too much text on it, didn't it? That wasn't that one. Was that one? Oh. There's something up here I've forgotten already. Have a look. Also not totally decided on the size of the text and things yet. I like the font, but yeah, so the and's still going strong, could do with Okay. Oh, it was the bin, wasn't it? It had loads about the sweets, yeah. So sort the bin out. So it's recently been emptied, but there's still so I'll split that into 2 lines. Okay. Yeah, let's have a quick look at the last thing I want to try and fix is where the text isn't lining up on the screen properly. So it's part of the menu system. They are called subtitles, I believe. So appear when speech plays. All duplicate for each line. Move with character. Yeah, always fit within screen. True, the menu position such that it's always completely within the screen boundary. So I have got that checked on, but it's obviously not working. So if I look at the side, oh no, if I look at the window, yeah, so it's not working properly. That, I don't know if that's a bug or there's something else overriding it. But let's have a little look. What else? No subtitle. If true, the menu will update its position every frame. If true, the menu will show regardless of the subtitle setting. In options, yeah, I want that left on. Always fit within screen. Above speaking character, yeah, that's what I want because it, you know, I don't want it above the player. So the line, dialogue line. So the prefab that it's using is this subtitles prefab. And I don't think I've changed anything in there. It's always possible that I have while I've been fiddling with the size of it. I don't use that speaker thing. That's turned off. But yeah, I don't think I've changed anything in there, but there's obviously some kind of issue. I'll ask a question on the forum. Chris from Icebox Games, who makes Adventure Creators, really responsive on the forums there. If you ever have a problem with it, and just ask. So I shall ask this evening why that might not be working. Could be a known bug in Unity 6. Could be that I've fiddled with something, which is probably more likely. All right. Well, that's been a reasonable amount of things done there. Just as a recap, when we started with the basic pixel art, I've added bits and pieces to it, including something I'm really chuffed with, which is a semi-transparent car with interior. I was really happy with that. Still got a lot of work to do on that pixel art, but we managed to break that up into its individual bits, foreground, background. We brought that into Unity and set up some lights, a scene light that lights it all in this bluey purple light, the window light which gives that glow in the corner, and then the foreground light which is actually lighting this foreground stuff so we can nicely see the car and things. And then we went through and created the hotspots to link us to the other scene, and we created a blank scene from the template for that side alley scene so that we can move backwards and forwards and that it comes back to the right place. So as you leave this, it lets you leave and then brings you back to a different start point when you go back to the car park. And then we set up at least, I think, 8 or 9 different hotspots ready to change some of the dialogue on that and ready to interact with things like the intercom and some of these posters. Okay, so I think given that it's pretty much 10:30, that has been 2 hours of live stream. Really welcome anybody who's got comments, because I know quite a few people watch back the live streams later when they can't watch them live. So please do leave any comments about any of the stuff you've seen. Totally open to any amusing jokes and any other bits and pieces that could be added into this, or any requests for other things that you want to see. As I said, hopefully next time I'm getting to work on this. I'll be working on this mystery room, and I'll probably won't pull all that in on a live stream because it's very similar to what we've just done there, but I hope to have that in Unity and then be hooking up some of the other things. One thing which I had been doing separate from the live stream, I'd mentioned at the start of this, it's got a bug in it. The complexity around this PC, because it's part of a puzzle now. I think before the previous last stream, you couldn't come to the PC, so the PC now has a post-it note that you pick up, and it's about a password clue if you come away from the PC. There's a bit of clues there to the thing. Come back, you can see the post-it note's now missing from the PC. So I have to change that in this scene. This is a separate scene. When you try and turn the power button on, it doesn't work. But then now you know you need to look at the plugs. So the plug sockets become available. You look at them. I'll explain when the PC won't turn on. Power lead's missing. So he now knows that he needs to plug it in. I've got it already here. Oh, the fuse is blown in that one, so you've then got to use the screwdriver with the kettle lead, get the blown fuse out. So you've got burnt fuse. You then need to get... it's quite an involved puzzle. Turn the lights on here. You need to get the cable from this other desk fan. And then the desk fan cable, you take the fuse out of that. Oh no, you don't. This is the thing, I've got a problem with this because the PC, once you've turned it on and got power to it, you need to change the way it looks in this room so that the screen lights up once you've plugged in the plug, and then when you go to log in, you haven't got the password, but the login prompt's on the screen, so there's a second view of it. And then when you finally do get to log in, it's got like an email client on it. So this one graphic ends up with 3 different states, and they're all relevant to how far through the puzzle chain you are. So there's been quite a bit to set up there, and a variety of different views of that PC. But I'll get that fixed and we'll go through that in the next live stream about how that was set up. Okay, excellent. Well, thanks very much for watching. Please do comment, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please put a comment on the actual YouTube channel in the community section, that'd be fantastic. And then what I'm going to do over the coming weeks, there's going to be elements of this that are going to include like customer names and things in a book within the carpet store, and I would love people who want to be involved to submit nicknames and things that could go into that book. And it might even be as well, when we introduce some of the characters, that we could create a character based on someone from the community as well, so that would be kind of cool to do. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and hopefully see you again on another stream, and yeah, good night. Cheers.